Hello and welcome to the class on how to checkmate with a rook. In the previous class, we have learned how to checkmate with a queen, and we have also seen the correct strategy of how to corner the opponent king first, and then with the help of our king, how to checkmate the opponent king. Now, in this class also, the strategy is quite similar, and we shall be learning the exact technique of how to carry on the strategy. Okay, now before going into how to checkmate with one rook, let's do this position first, where white checkmates black with two rooks. It's quite easy because we saw how to checkmate with a queen. It was quite easy. Two rooks are even more powerful than a queen, isn't it? 5 and 5 points, so it makes 10 more than a queen. So how do we checkmate the king? The strategy is quite simple, but I shall be showing you one technique which is called the staircase method. Now what does a staircase mean? Just like how we climb a staircase, the movement of the rooks would be similar to that. Now in this position, white has to first decide which corner he is taking the king to. If he decides the king would be taken to this edge, then the right move would be to go this check. Now the king is under check and it can't come to this line, this rank, because this rook is controlling this rank. The king has to go back. The rook goes check. If the king keeps going back, the rook will play check. The king can't come forward. It has to go back. Again check, again back, again check, again back. And finally, the rook delivers check. The king can't go beyond the chessboard. So this is where the king can't go back anymore, and we have checkmated the king. It's so simple. Okay, and look at the movement of the rooks. It moves like how we climb stairs, right? This rook moves here, the left leg, the right leg, left leg. In the same manner, the rooks are moving. And that is why we call it the staircase method. Now, in case the king goes here and the king approaches the rook, for example, the king comes here. Now, it would be a mistake to go this check because black would capture our rook. So what we do? We take the rook to the other end. Now, it's very far from the king. If the king goes here, and now we are threatening to go rook b7 check. Now, if the king prevents us from checking, because if we check again, the king will capture the rook. What do? We take the rook to this end. And now nobody can stop us. The king comes near, we play check. The king has to go down and we play checkmate. It's quite simple, easy technique. But actually in this position, the quickest way to win is white can actually checkmate in two moves. Now that we know the staircase method, it is your turn to find out how can white checkmate black in only two moves. Pause the video and wait for the answer. Well, the best move is the rook will go here because the king is already at the edge. There is no need to take it to another edge very far. Okay, the king is already at the edge. So why don't we simply prevent the king from coming up? Okay, the king has to remain in this rank or this file, the H file. Now the king can't come here because of this rook. So the king has to go here. This is the only move available for black. And now the rook goes to H2, check. The king can't come here because of this rook. It is checkmate. The same staircase method, but much quicker. So this was how we checkmate with rooks. A point to note is that we don't need our king. Okay, two rooks are sufficient to coordinate and checkmate black. Now let's go to a more challenging situation. That is, if we have only one rook, then how do we win? Okay, let's assume we have a position like this. we have only one rook king against king. Now, if you have a playing partner, if you are listening to this video and if you have a playing partner, then I would suggest that you have this position on your chessboard and try to checkmate your opponent. And your opponent, your partner, can take white pieces once and you can take white piece once and try to checkmate black by yourself. But remember, the 50 move rule says that if you do not capture any piece, or if you do not move your pawns for 50 consecutive moves, the game is drawn. Which means there is no pawn, there is no scope of capture. So you have to checkmate your opponent within 50 moves. Otherwise, even this situation would be drawn. Okay, so let's learn how to win from this position. We saw a queen can checkmate easily because queen is much more powerful than a rook. But actually, a rook can also checkmate quite easily if we know how to. So from this situation where the opponent king is in the center, it has a lot of squares to escape. We have to take this to a corner where it will have fewer squares to escape, and then we can checkmate it. So how do we take it to the corner? The first move is king d3 check. Now black will most likely, he will want to stay in the center. And now we play a very instructive move, that is rook e4. Immediately building a sort of prison for the king. The king is restricted to within this limit. If the king tries to cross this, we will say check. You can't legally move here. So the king is restricted to only this part of the board. Let's say the king goes here and we go here. The king comes up. Our king has to help the rook to gradually escort the opponent king to the corner. If the king comes here, he will not try to go back. So he will try to stick to the central squares as long as possible. We play check. Now black goes, he has to go back. He can't come forward because all these three squares are controlled by our king. The king has to go back and we go up. So gradually our king is preventing the opponent king from escaping, and the rook is shortening king's prison. The king is imprisoned within a short zone. The king will try to attack the rook and our king will defend. Now this is the limit to where the king can go. Okay, so he is restricted to this area only. Now when the king goes here, we play a very nice move, that is this move, making the prison even shorter. This is the restricted zone. The king goes here and we play this move, even shorter. Now the king, the poor king, has only 3 moves or 3 squares where it can roam. Now black goes here. Now do not play this move to make it shorter because the rook is unsupported. The king will capture. So what we do? First we bring our king near once again and then we play this. Okay, now what has happened is this king has only these 2 squares to go. And we have made the king's restricted zone very small. But we have to be careful. Now we bring the king opposite to his king. And we should not play this move because this is a stalemate. We have restricted him so much that he has no space to breathe. This is a draw. It's a mate without check. So what should we do to mate him? This check is a mate. The king can't come forward because of the king, of our king, and it can't stay along this because of the rook. So this is how we gradually shorten the area of the opponent's king and we drag the king to the edge of the board and finally checkmate the king with the very active help and cooperation of our own king. Okay, if the king is far, it's not possible to checkmate because this will escape. So that is this class. We have learned how to checkmate with rooks. In the next classes, we shall be learning many more techniques. So keep practicing and keep watching these videos. Thank you.